Go ahead.
Huh? The time has come to draw a curtain to our program as we come to the close of it. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you to this valedictory session of the AIU Central Zone Vice Chancellors Meet hosted by Sri Sri University, Cuttack, Odisha. My humble pranams and a warm welcome to Poojya Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji, the founder of the Art of Living and Sri Sri University, Professor Tej Pratapji, President AIU, Dr. Mrs. Pankaj Mittalji, Secretary General AIU, Mrs. Rajita Kulkarni, President Sri Sri University, Professor Ajay Kumar Singh, Vice Chancellor Sri Sri University, Dr. S. Rama Devi Pani, Editor University News AIU, Honorable Vice Chancellors, other esteemed dignitaries, and invited guests. I, Ms. Gayatri Dhume, feel immense proud to stand here before all of you this afternoon on behalf of Sri Sri University and take this opportunity to thank wholeheartedly the AIU team to give us an opportunity to host an event of this stature. To give a red carpet welcome to everyone assembled here virtually, may I take the pleasure of requesting Dr. Mrs. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General AIU, to deliver her welcome address.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a matter of pleasure and pride and honor for us that Pujniya Gurudev has agreed to grace our valedictory session. So, Pujniya Gurudev ji, Pranam. The President of AIU, Professor Tej Pratap ji, the Vice President, Professor Thiru Basagam ji, the members of the Governing Council who are present here, Dr. Rajita Kulkarni, the president of Sri Sri University, who has very nicely hosted the AIU Central Zone Vice Chancellors Conference, the Vice Chancellor of Sri Sri University, Dr. A.K. Singh ji, the chairpersons and speakers of various sessions, if they are present right now, the Vice Chancellors of the universities in the Central Zone, the energetic team from Sri Sri University and the AIU, who has been working very hard to make this conference successful. I welcome you all to this valedictory session, which is the end of the two-day Central Zone Vice Chancellors Conference. First of all, I would like to thank the Sri Sri University, who has very kindly consented to host the Vice Chancellors Conference, Central Zone Vice Chancellors Conference on behalf of AIU, and they have done it very, very meticulously and very, very. I mean, the precision was there, minute-to-minute precision was there, and very innovative concepts they brought in, like planting a sapling in the names of the speakers and the chairpersons and the chief guest in their university, and they also commit to this that there will be a proof to see. Rajita ji told in the morning that there will be a proof to see if any of us visits the university, will be able to see the sapling in our name over there. And everything was done in a very, very nice manner. Thank you very much. So in the 2 days conference, we have been talking about the third paradigm of national education policy, that is promoting quality research and internationalization of higher education. As I told in the beginning, that AIU is wanting to bring a very good implementation document which should highlight for every I mean for every recommendation of the NEP, that who are the stakeholders involved, what is the action involved on the part of each stakeholders, what are the timelines, and also what will be the possible performance indicators. So we have been working with Jindal Global University on developing this document, and the draft document was shared with all of you in the form of concept paper. To I mean, different zone vice chancellors were shared the relevant portions of that document, and the team is also attending this conference. The whole team of Jindal, which is working on this along with AIU, is attending this conference. So whatever are the key issues, they are being taken care of, and the document will be improved. And I hope that this will be a very, very well consulted, well referenced document, where the implementation strategy of NEP will be laid down in a sort of a step-by-step procedure, and it will be with in consultation with all the vice chancellors of the country. So that is what we are trying to do. And before we have our main conference in Ahmedabad, before that we will be coming out with the big document, and that document will be released in the national conference. So two conferences we have already held, East Zone and the West Zone, and the central we are culminating today, and two more are left, North Zone and the South Zone. And with that, we'll be having a sort of a discussion on each and every aspect of NEP in a threadbare manner. So that is the intention, and that is what we are trying to do. And I hope we'll be bringing out a very, very good project. Now we are lucky to have, like Dr. Tej Pratap ji said, that we are very eager to hear what Shri ji has to say to the Vice Chancellors. So the session we are planning is in the following manner: that in the beginning, Shri ji will give his words of wisdom to all of us. And after that, maybe I'll ask one question, then I'll request the President, Vice President, and the Vice Chancellors to ask questions from Shri ji if you want to have. So, respected Honorable Gurudev ji will be giving answers to those questions. And after that, we'll proceed with the rest of the valedictory session, which will consist of report reading and the vote of thanks and all. So before we invite Shri ji, Gurudev ji, I think I should sort of give a small introduction about him. I know that he doesn't need an introduction. He's a person who everybody knows. I mean, whosoever is present here, everybody knows him. But still, as a matter of courtesy, I would like to give a brief introduction of Gurudev. Poojya Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar ji is a globally revered spiritual and humanitarian leader. He was a gifted child from childhood because Gurudev was able to recite shlokas in Bhagavad Gita and was often found in deep meditation at the age of 4. And he graduated with degrees in both Vedic literature and physics. And he has been a recipient of numerous honors and recognitions from country heads, president, governor, which also includes Padma Vibhushan in 2016, and highest civilian awards from countries like Paraguay and Colombia in 2012 and 2015, respectively. He has got 21 honorary doctorates from national as well as international higher education institutions. And Gurudev has been referred to as the ambassador of peace because he has been instrumental in bringing opposing parties to the negotiating table. For example, in Colombia, Iraq, Ivory Coast, Kashmir, Bihar, Ayodhya. So, opposing parties he brought on the negotiating table. Gurudev has founded the Art of Living Foundation in 1981, which is much acclaimed, and the foundation was founded with the core commitment of eliminating stress and foster a sense of well-being among the people. The Art of Living Foundation, along with its sister concern, International Association for Human Values, has initiated a number of projects on education, environment care, disaster relief, rural development, women empowerment, prisoner rehabilitation, peace initiatives, and natural farming. In 2009, Gurudev found the seed of Sri Sri University to impart holistic and value integrated education in order to develop visionary thinkers with social consciousness to learn, lead, and serve. So I feel it will be apt to play a small video titled Love Moves the World to welcome Gurudev amongst the august audience.
Uh,
May I request the
Dr.
host to
Mittal,
kindly play?
Gurudev has joined us already, so we.
Okay. Sorry. So, Pranam Gurudev, Pranam, and thanks for accepting our invitation to be here. Everybody is too eager to listen to you. And again, I mean, we are very, very grateful to you for agreeing to be with us today.
That's very nice of you, Pankaj. And let me greet you all, congratulate you all the vice chancellors, so many university in the central zone. You have all been deliberating on how to make our higher education more vibrant and bring it to the international level. As the brief that I have come to understand, so far you have all given very practical, pragmatic, and much needed ideas and suggestions. So this is the valedictory session. I'm sure you will coming up with a plan to action paper in this session. Association of Indian Universities from several years have been uh, being the platform for all vice chancellors to come up with your own uh, ideas, creative ideas, thoughts, and sharing those thoughts and values is of immense value. It is very much needed today. India is known as a knowledge bank from centuries. People used to come here to study, and we are a vibrant population wherein research and innovation has been there from centuries. Today, we need to direct our youths more into these higher studies. Studies are not just for job, but it is for bringing up an evolutionary process in human life. Research work has to be taken much more seriously. Often, if you ask youths, they want to do some studies, and when it comes to research, just very few people get motivated. The others are looking for some job or want to start up some factories or want to start some work. So, there are very few youths who are motivated to take up higher studies and higher research. For that, resources are a constraint. Now, I hope our government gives more importance to research. I'm sure it's already doing, but you can also insist and go to them to fund more research students to take up research. Able students should take it up seriously, and we have excellent brain power that just needs a little direction and harnessing. In today's world where there is so much stress and tension, diverting one's attention to higher studies can definitely clear quite a bit of confusion that young people are facing. Having said this, I would say we also have to boldly present what we have with confidence in the international arena. More and more students will have to take up higher education. We see that the employability of people who have done MA, MScs have gone down a lot, or master degrees. So here again, the research work can definitely give them a direction, uh, provided their needs are taken care. In ancient India, people who would study mathematics, people who would study the pure sciences, they were given by the kings everything to support their livelihood. I was told, I heard from my father and my grandfathers that here in Mysore, whenever someone does any research in Mysore kingdom, they would do any research work on literature, Sanskrit literature, Kannada literature, or in any of the science or architecture. The king would supply to their home all that they need. A gentleman would come in Mysore city door by door to these scholars and ask them, what is that you need? What are your requirements? So the household will hand them over with a slip. Oh, these are the things we need. So they were provided those necessary items right away. Within 3 days, the king would see that those things would reach them, and they had assured them, you should not worry about your livelihood, you should not worry about your anything else. You must focus your attention only on doing your literary work, your research work on whatever field you are doing. So this sort of empowerment and emboldenment and support for our research scholar would take our country a long way. Now, second thing is coordinated effort. Many times we find ourselves reinventing the wheel. One research has been taken by one university, then you will see the same similar type are happening somewhere. If there is a common platform to share our research work for the sake of science, for the sake of literature, for the sake of art, architecture, whatever it is, these common platforms will also help a new student, like a research guide, you know. Without a research guide, nobody is able to do the research. This sharing of information on the research field is also something that would be necessary, I feel. Though it is there to some extent, but I think there is a lot could be done to improve this platform for sharing information on this. And then and then inviting students from around the world, proper facilities, given proper facilities, and um, you know that specialization in innovation, intuition, can draw young people from outside uh, India as well. For any researchers, we need sharpness of intelligence, keenness of awareness, intuitive ability, and innovative capacity. If we have these four things, sharpness of intellect, awareness, keenness of awareness, intuitive ability, and innovative spirit, then you see uh, higher education will not just stay in cupboards, it will come back to the society, which is happening. If you see in America, in Europe, there is a lot of stimuli that has been given to people who have been in the research field. So, and that research should have to translate into on the ground as innovative spirit. Now, intuitive ability is very essential. If a person is stressed and not in a good mindset, then higher education will remain just a name. So we have to see that people's state of mind is attended to. If we see big institutions like IITs and IIMs, where it's very hard for young people to get admission, after having got the admission, we see there is so much problem on the mental health issues. They are so stressed, and there are many suicidal incidents is also happening. Suicidal tendencies have increased among students. This should be, reverted. This should be stopped at any cost. Don't you agree with me? The suicidal tendency is increasing, cases of depression, all this need to be stopped. So they have to see that their mind is fresh, alive, with so much stimuli around, with all the social media, everything. The original thinking aspect in the brain gets overshadowed. This is where I would say meditation can help people to calm down and tap into their intuitive spirit that is deep within us. Like on the blackboard, when you write something, you need the duster to wipe them out. So, similarly, the mind, which is constantly bombarded with different stimuli, need a few restful moments. And this, I would say, is meditation. Now, the meditation has become so popular world over. Though it started in India, we are not using as much as we should be using meditation here to calm the mind, uh, to make someone very sharp and alert and happy. Meditation, as I say, is something which is not particular to any particular religion. It's a non-denomination. Like yoga, it's something beyond, sampradayas or traditions and customs. It should be seen as a science that is needed for inner development of human race. So, with these words, I would say, um, if there is anything that we can all together do, I am there. And our Sri Sri University is also committed to bring the best of East, best of West to our population. That is the slogan with which we started the university. And let us all work together and make the population of this country and this world in general uh, with higher standards of ethics, higher standards of innovation, and human values. Namaskar.
Thank you, Gurudev. Very well said. The importance of research and the way you said the research was inculcated by spending on research by the kings in the past, and the intuitive value, which is very important. And thankfully, the national education policy does realize this, and a lot of emphasis has been given to creativity, critical thinking, and value education. And your meditation, you'll be happy to know that yesterday we did have a small meditation session with Rajita ji, and that itself was so such a divine experience. So I'm sure having a meditation session with you will be, I mean, something a bliss which people will be looking forward to. Gurudev, I wanted to ask a question, and after that, I'll request the other vice chancellors, and before that, our president and vice president, if they want to have any dialogue or any question if they have for you. My question with you is that you're talking about the way the students are not at rest, and like similarly, sir, our universities are not at rest because we all are running after the global ranking. And in every conference, everybody will say that not even a single Indian university is there in the world university rankings. So my question is, should we really be running after the rankings, or we should be doing our work in the best possible manner for our domestic use so that our students are benefited, whether it is research or teaching or the subjects or the content. So should it be at par with the international standards so that we come into international rankings, or we should take care of ourselves first? So that is my question.
I think it goes together. When you take care of yourself, your ranking will automatically go up. And when you look around and when you see other people are progressing faster, that can also motivate you to, for your own performance. And in that sense, as a motivation, ranking is good. But as competition, if it is hampering your enthusiasm, then ranking is no good. So it is up to us, how do we perceive a ranking? As a motivating factor, or as a competitive competition that would drag us back? Then I would say, take the former, leave the later.
Very true.
No
Very
need to be stressed about it.
no
No
need to
need
be
to be
stressed about it.
stressed.
But if we do good work, we will automatically come in world ranking.
Yeah, obviously.
Thank you, Gurudev. Thank you. So Tej Pratap sir, would you like to ask a question?
Namaskar, Gurudev. I am Tej Pratap,
हाँ जी.
President of Association of Indian Universities, I met you earlier in Palampur. I was there. You had visited our university in Palampur. I have a very specific input. You already emphasized very much on research quality, ethics, values, very true. We are presently with national educational policy confronted with another same run for goals, internationalization. With your wide experience, this is about the time you must advise us what kind of internationalization we should be thinking. One was actually sending our students outside. Now all of us universities are challenged with this whole idea, internationalization. You should have more students from outside or you should have faculty. What is it? I think India needs to decide. And the danger of commercializing internationalization for money or I think here I face this situation. Uh, should it be for earning money or should it be for sharing that great values, Indian ethics? If that, what will sell tomorrow, if I put it another way, from Indian universities? Our quality standards, I'm sure the US guys or Europeans are not going to come here. But what is it that the whole world can look towards our universities and your final imparting words to all the universities that if you are looking for internationalization, what should we focus on? Your advice on that.
Yeah. Ecosystem. We need to create such an ecosystem which draws people from around the world. Number one. Second is our marketing or our image that is being projected outside India has to improve a lot. It has improved from before. You know, IT sector has given a great impotence to our image. Spirituality has given a great upliftment to our image. No doubt, still today, the image of India that is being projected in the media outside is something that is not desirable, which is not true. If not only desirable, it is not appropriate, it's not what it is. India needs a better branding outside India for sure in the international arena. So when India's branding becomes higher, then automatically the draw will be here for our universities. See, today there are students going from India. We have huge population. And if our students are stopped going abroad to Russia, to Ukraine, to all these small countries and of East European countries, you know, many of the universities, they may have to shut down some departments. This could be the case even in America. Large number of students in Australia, in America, they go and they all thrive because of Indian students. First of all, we have to see how we can arrest this this flow of like brain drain, or we can say brilliant young people, they want to go study abroad. That thing we should see how we can stop our own youths and give them even better quality education at what they aspire. Number two is drawing students from other nations. For that, we need to give them that similar facilities and ecosystem that is necessary. And see, for example, to study yoga and spirituality, people come in big number. The same draw can happen even for science in this country. Same draw can happen for art, architecture, art, and fine arts, research work in biodiversity. Many subjects are there. We can invite them. We can invoke that similar response if we prepare ourselves and make our universities grading on our own in this country itself higher and better.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Vice President, sir, Dr. Thiru Vasadam, is he here?
You have to
Thiruvasagamji,
unmute.
you have to unmute.
Sir, you are on mute, Dr. Thiru Vasadam.
Right.
Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
I am very much blessed to listen you, Guruji. It's an ample opportunity given by your esteemed university. Guruji, as you have rightly stressed, there should be innovative spirit and equal importance should be given for human values in the higher education system. Fortunately, you yourself, Guruji, established a university. You are part of Indian higher education system. You know better than us. As far as the curriculum of today is concerned, we have been given model curriculum by our apex bodies like University Grants Commission and AICTE. Fortunately or unfortunately, there is no content of human value in the major curriculum. They asked us if at all any university wants to give that kind of education of human value, you give it as a certificate program or as an add-on credit program. When we take this option to the students, you know the mentality of youngsters of today, they are not volunteering, coming in large number to take such courses of additional credits, not with the main credits. I would like to know from the Guruji, do you want us to impart as part of the main curriculum, or how can we pursue the youngsters to join large in number and enrich their character in the form of a human value? And one more, is it better for universities like us to establish an exclusive department meant for human values? I seek the opinion of Guruji.
Yeah, let me start with the last thing what you said. Yes, see, we can start in every university a department for conflict resolution, international conflict resolution, connecting it with the international arena, uh, and peace education, conflict resolution, behavioral psychology, like this very different ways that we can think. And when it comes to inculcating the human value, should it be a separate one or should it be part of curriculum? I feel we should experiment with both. If we can introduce it as part of curriculum and see how the response are, I would say people will be more, in the beginning would be reluctant, but once they take it, they love it, they do it. I mean, the whole atmosphere changes then. That is one thing. And on the other hand, if you just give them as a credit for the course and extra marks, and we should see how much it is taken, because then only those who are very much into it will come to it, who have an interest, original interest in the value system. Those who have interest in value system, they don't need that education because they're already in it. And now who needs it is those who are not interested. In this sense, if we want to transform the atmosphere in a college or in the campus, I think the second one may be of some impact. We have to see that. We have to experiment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gurudev. Now, Professor ORS has put in a request to ask a question. May I request Professor ORS, who is the Vice Chancellor of ICFI University? Professor Rao, you may ask your question. You have to unmute yourself. Yes.
So, Namaskar, Gurudev ji.
Namaskar.
I'm so fortunate. I have attended your courses, the basic course and advanced course. I was personally benefited, and I would like to thank you very much. So today, Gurudev ji, in fact, you have highlighted the need for doing the research and relevant research, that too in a coordinated way with a common platform. That's an excellent insight that Guruji has given. So my query or my sort of request to you is, while a lot of fundamental research goes on in any way, it could be into the common disciplines, like, in the sciences or social sciences, do you think that, there's a need for defining national problems, say common research problems? Because the research, a platform we should have, coordinated efforts we should have. At the same time, do you think that there's need to define our national problems for research? For instance, there was a disaster in the Uttarakhand, and so many people died, and so many people are kind of not at rest. And whenever the problem happens, when the disaster is there, momentarily for a few days, all of us feel that, oh, why it is happening? What can be done into that? And after that, maybe the memory fades away, and then we get back into our normal. And similarly, we have got problems that have been haunting us for a long time. The problems could be like poverty. The problems could be literacy. And all these problems, they need interdisciplinary research. To put together the technology, we got to look at the social sciences, and the politicians also have to get into that to implement them. My request to you is, do you think that as a nation, a country like our side, with the kind of intellectual caliber that we have, should we not define the national problems first? Otherwise, today what is happening is the kind of research that is happening is, everybody is working in their own way. A unified research, a kind of, a coordinated, a common platform for that. I think, do you think some need for that? In fact, this is something you see in the United States, when the US was going through lots of problems. That time, John F. Kennedy has given a national kind of a mission. He said, I will put a man on the moon. That time, so many problems were there. But at that point of time, the entire country rallied behind. They said, yes, we'll make it happen. He has given a time frame, and he said, by this time, the entire country must do that, whether research or otherwise. That way, like, in fact, my kind of a request to you is, can we identify some problems like that? And we should say that the government is spending a lot of money. The outcomes must be defined. Give a time frame to solve this problem. Maybe you take 5 years time, 6 years time, 10 years time. These are the milestones. In these milestones, the entire country must solve the problems. And within that, as Gurudev ji has mentioned, that instead of repeating the same research, there, this kind of a thing maybe can be allocated, saying that maybe these are the universities that are part and parcel of this. This is my query to you, sir. Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you. We need that. We need a common platform. That I have already said. The scope is, there is tremendous scope in this country for research. We have such a huge population, and of course, with such a diverse country, with such a diverse landscape, the limit is sky. If you go on that higher education thing and on different disciplines and then bringing them together and what's good for the country, how we can make everything work better, all this needs coordination. As you correctly said, we definitely need to do more coordinated research work, which would, help people in this field, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. And anyway, working in isolation will not be as beneficial as a coordinated effort. I totally agree with you. We need that. Of course, we need an individual thing also. You can't have everything all the time coordinated. We have to have both systems should go together, I would feel.
Namaskar.
आपका म्यूट हो गया. Pankaj Mittal
Sorry,
ji.
sorry. Gurudev, thank you very much. We have two more people who want to ask questions from you. One is Professor Upinder Dhar, who is the Vice Chancellor of Vaishnav Vidyapeeth, and one more Dr. Sudesh Kumar Sohani, who is the VC of RKDF University.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
after
go
this,
ahead.
we will close the session. So first I'll ask Professor Upinder Dhar to please ask his question.
Namaskar, Poojya Gurudev ji. I had the
Namaskar.
opportunity to meet you in 2008 when you had visited our university, Nirma University at Ahmedabad. I was director of Institute of Management that time, and I had the opportunity to meet you in person. Now I am in Indore. Sir, Guruji, I have a specific question. As you just said, that our country is very vast. Today, we have around 1,000 universities in the country and 40 to 45,000 colleges. And there is wide diversity in terms of the quality of education. On one hand, we have institutions which are good. They are good in terms of infrastructure. They are good in terms of faculty and other resources. On the other hand, there are institutions which are not good at all. They don't have infrastructure, they don't have faculty, and so on and so forth. Now, concern is quality of education. How to meet this is a big challenge for us. Or should we make any specific effort? Is any specific effort possible? Or we should learn to live with inequalities?
There is scope for improvement all the time. We must keep improving. And anything that is substandards, that UGC should take a call on it. They must put their foot down and say, we are not going to let the quality of education suffer in this country. So again, here a big group or a solid group of monitoring the quality of education around the country is essential. I feel they should time and again, they must visit the colleges and see, take the feedback and implement whatever is needed to keep the quality. It's like, quality check of milk in the dairy, in the dairy farm, रोज जो दूध आता है रोज वो टेस्ट करते रहते हैं. ऐसे ही हमारे देश में भी बार बार हमको टेस्ट करते रहना पड़ेगा, अपग्रेड करते रहने पड़ेंगे इसको. But that is necessary, yeah. Even if we cannot expect all the university to top, at least even if 1/4 of the universities of this country get to that level of really international standard and top on all counts, we are very happy. We are done with, and then the next another 25-30% of the university will follow. They will come back. You may have a few university, maybe 5%, 10%, which is substandard, which we cannot, we cannot do anything about it. In fact, they would be the benchmark or a lesson what one should not be doing. Yeah.
Thank you, Gurudev. Dr. Sohani, and I'm also thankful and grateful to Gurudev for spending so much of time. We had asked for 45 minutes and we are just nearing 1 hour. So we'll hopefully have this as the last question, Gurudev. Dr. Sohani, can you please ask your question?
Yeah. Vinamra Namaste, Gurudev ji.
Namaskar.
Sir, in this competitive world, let me be very specific about raising one small query. I think you only can come up with this, provide us a kind of solution for the, not only for the country, for the entire world. In this competitive era, the students are under huge stress. Like they have been having not the students themselves, but right from their schooling, is when they are entering KG1, KG2, or even since their birth, the parents are so much of worried about their kids having a right career and whatnot, and then putting a lot of pressure on the kids. And then when they come to the university, it is a different kind of scenario for them. As you have well said that in the IITs, there has been some kind of tendencies of societal tendencies. So how the world, and especially asking Miss about the students going to be coping up with this kind of scenario, if at all you may kindly advise us on, so that we can further push it through our students and then create a morally up environment, sir. Please.
See, when you write in blackboard, afterwards what you do, you take the duster and then dust it. You clean the blackboard so that you can write again afresh. Our mind is also like a blackboard, but we forgot to take a duster and dust it. Then what happens? You keep writing, overwriting one about the other, then nothing is legible. In the same way, when we teach people yoga and pranayama and meditation, we are helping the container of knowledge to expand. If our bowl is small and we keep stuffing things in it, it's going to overflow. It won't, the vessel will not be able to hold it. That is why there is a word in Sanskrit, patrata. हम लोग कहते हैं ना patrata. Increasing the potential of the person, the capacity to grasp, retain, and express. Education is dependent on perception, observation, and expression. These three things have to improve. For that to improve, the instrument called mind needs overhauling. If you simply keep running without giving it petrol, without overhauling it, without servicing it, it's going to wear out very fast. See, in our generation or 2-3 generation, we didn't have internet, we didn't have so many stimuli for our brain like TV and all this stuff. So we had fairly free time for the mind to observe the nature. आजकल बच्चों को वो बात नहीं होती, हमेशा गैजेट के साथ रहते. तो when they take some time away from gadgets and they do some breathing exercise and calm their mind, a conscious rest or meditation, what you can say, restful alertness, can change the brain structure, can increase the gray matter in our brain, will remove the lesions in the hippocampus of the brain. These researchers have shown these benefits. So we must see that these children do yoga, do breathing, do meditation. Then they feel very fresh to grasp, to assimilate, and to project better.
Wonderful listening to you, sir. Gurudev.
Thank you. Thank you, Gurudev. Thank you very much for your benign presence here, for guiding us, for your blessings. We are really grateful and obliged. Like as mentioned by Dr. Anant, we need a balance of IQ, EQ, and SQ if we really want to give holistic education to our students. So thank you, Gurudev. Thanks for being.
All the best to all of you. Let me congratulate you all. You are doing great service to our population and keep doing your work.
Thank you.
Shanti. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Thank you, Gurudev.
May I now request the host university to take it forward, please?
For the successful implementation of the new Education Policy 2021, enhancing quality, impactful research, and globalize the Indian knowledge systems again as it used to be in the times of Takshashila, Nalanda, and Vikramshila. I also thank Dr. Pankaj Mittal ji for her warm welcome address and for facilitating the open house session. I now invite our Honorable President of Shisha University, Mrs. Rajita Kulkarni, to deliver her address on behalf of our host university.
Thank you very much, Gayatri. Actually, after listening to Gurudev this past hour, there is, I think we are all feeling that illumination. So there is little left to be said. But what I would like to end by saying, firstly, I want to express my thanks to AIU, Dr. Tej Pratap, Dr. Tiruvasagam, Dr. Mittal, and the entire AIU team, of Vijendra Kumar and Dr. Ramadevi Pani for such a fantastic partnership. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Tej Pratap and Dr. Mittal. It was a great honor for Shrishi University to be a virtual host. As I said yesterday, if it was in person, we would have been able to express our hospitality better. But great to be the virtual host, great to invite all vice chancellors, esteemed vice chancellors from so many universities to our virtual campus. And for a really thought provoking day and a half, the choice of subjects that we deliberated upon, the insights from all the speakers, the fact that we got AICT NAC into the room for very important discussions. I think it has been an extremely rich day and a half. Has given a lot of I think food for thought. And I think what Gurudev said came also in many of our discussion themes: the need for collaboration, the need for common platforms. So what I would say from the side of Shishu University, we are a young university compared to many other universities and vice chancellors present here. And we are taking steps ahead in many new areas. Gurudev's philosophy of the world is guiding many of our niche program decisions. We ourselves have a research center for conflict resolution and peace studies. We are setting up a research center for water. So one of the thoughts that came up is, how can we collaborate together to really solve the problems of the world, solve the problems of humanity? So what I would like to say from our side is that we are very keen and eager and ready to collaborate with Indian universities. I think as much as internationalization, I think there is a lot of scope for national collaborations. So we are very keen to do these collaborations, and after the conference, we will be we will be happy to reach out and connect bilaterally to take these conversations forward. It is our vision, as Gurudev also said, that to create a best amalgamation of the East and West. So how can we bring contemplation, meditation, yoga, spiritual practices, the knowledge of Ayurveda, which is the gift of our country, the gift of the East, and combine it with the cutting edge knowledge, innovations and disruptions that are happening from the West. We brought osteopathy from the West to the East. We are, I'm told, one of the first in Asia to start a school of osteopathy. We had to start creating the knowledge about osteopathy, create the demand for it. And now as our third, fourth batch graduates, people are seeing the effect of this alternative medical stream. So combining what the best that the West has to offer and East has to offer will continue to be our guiding principle, and we will continue to work on that. I want to really congratulate Dr. Mittal, yourself personally, because in the platform after platform where I get a chance to either engage with you or hear from you, it conveys the dynamism and the proactive approach that you are driving at AIU to support the universities. And I think all of us are really grateful for that. And I look forward to supporting AIU more from Shish University side in helping you, do your, drive your agenda better. So I want to thank all vice chancellors for visiting us. We are a unique university campus, Dr. Tej Pratap. Our campus has many quarries. So it was a quarried land that we sort of inherited. And all our auditoriums are 100, 150 feet below ground level. So I think the next in-person national meet also, I think we must have held it in great locations, but never underground. So that is our invitation to everybody to visit our campus. And thank you once again to also the Shrishi University team. Very well done, Gayatri, Mani, Pankaj, the entire IT team, Dr. Kalyani Samantrai, who became the red thread, the rapporteurs, supported very well by our esteemed, leadership, our leadership team, Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh, Vice Chancellor, and Dr. B.R. Sharma, Executive Registrar, and the entire team. We are the host, I won't take everybody's names, but well done by the entire team. So thank you very much. I personally, after a long time, attended a whole 1.5 day conference, session after session in person, and it was very, very enriching. And look forward to being in touch. Look forward to collaborate. Namaste.
Thank you, ma'am, for your short yet inspiring words. I now request Professor Mrs. Kalyani Samantrai, Head Faculty of Arts, Communication and Indic Studies, Sri Sri University, to present the rapporteur report.
Thank you very much, Gayatri. Good afternoon and namaste. It's a privilege on my part to present the report of this two-day conference of AIU Central Zone Vice Chancellors Conference held on 8th and 9th February 2021. So, and it was hosted virtually by Sri Sri University, Cuttack, Odisha. The theme of the meet has been promoting quality research and internationalization in higher education. Honorable Governor of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, Srimati Anandiben Patel, graced the inaugural session as the chief guest. Dr. Arun Kumar Sahu, Honorable Minister Higher Education, Government of Odisha, graced the occasion as the joined as the guest of honor. Mrs. Rajita Kulkarni, President Sri Sri University, welcomed the delegates at the beginning and set the tone of the conference through a speech. Dr. Tej Pratap Singh, President AIU, and Dr. Mrs. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General AIU, gave the introductory and the presidential addresses at the inaugural event. Professor Ajay Kumar Singh, Vice Chancellor Sri Sri University, offered the vote of thanks. Honorable Governor Srimati Anandiben Patel released the AIU journal University News, edited by Dr. S. Ramadevi Pani, head of the Research Division, AIU. The tone of the conference was set by the dignitaries of the inaugural session, basing upon the major concerns of renovating the teaching learning process, enhancing meaningful research, and promoting a two-way internationalization of education, all within the ambit of NEP 2020. The three themes, as is obvious, were not treated as standalone concepts and practices. Each one merged into the others, engaging the other themes, and in turn getting invigorated in the process. Consequently, the points of view and the discussions quite overlapped in their application to all the mission points of this conference. Lessons from COVID-19 for the Indian education system and the society, and India's growth and contribution towards the pandemic became the focal points of the inaugural session. COVID-19 has been the foremost witness for Indian scientists and the Indian way of research, which have contributed from labs to land by supplying vaccines at the earliest, not just to our people, but also to several other nations of the world. The AIU's focus during the pandemic has been the remarkable efforts at extensive teacher training to implement online teaching learning. This has revamped education in India with the required novelty in pedagogy and opened up vistas for research facilities in other than the traditional modes. In the later sessions, the speakers drew attention towards the drawbacks of lack of flexibility in the regulations and acts that cause deficiency and non-performance in our education system, since universities do not actually enjoy true autonomy in the areas of innovation, projects, and introduction of new courses. It was, however, ascertained that the features of NEP 2020 can help in alleviating many such issues affecting Indian higher education. NEP 2020 also supports Indian higher education to grow to become more research focused and multidisciplinary. The challenges faced include the lack of finances to invest on quality and the survival of institutes during the pandemic because of that reason, and the need to produce good research scholars to contribute towards local needs of farmers, states, and local communities. Now, looking at the needs and challenges, the erudite and insightful deliberations during the different sessions cogitated upon the general and the specific needs and challenges that the higher education system faces today, particularly in the context of COVID-19 and the 21st century requirements for teaching, learning, research, and internationalization. The challenges faced include that of lack of finances to invest on quality education. The speakers during all the sessions calibrated the general and the specific challenges, and the laudable initiatives that the universities have started to adopt to remedy the emergent conditions. Three major ingredients are needed for research to sustain, which includes faculty, research infrastructure, and institutional policies. Institutions need to be led by exemplary leaders. We also need to produce great research scholars to contribute towards local needs of farmers, local communities, and states. Five verticals were presented to meet the needs that are that have been identified as a favorable policy for recognizing good research, identification of thrust areas, association with industry, immersion programs, and societal participation. Corporate participation is another need in setting up lab facilities for science and technology. There's a need for faculty members to also consider mentoring startups. NAC accreditation was another concern raised during the deliberations to establish NAC's key initiatives on global good practices, facilitating quality and excellence in higher education. There's also a need to adopt the AICTE's domains of pursuit in research, invention, innovation, and production. AICTE's schemes meant for school students, general college students, technical non-campus students to train for 21st century skills are aligned to Atmanirbhar Bharat. There are needs to create the proper ecosystem for international students in India, as also to support our students in their international pursuits so that we can expand our global role through internationalization. Ultimately, all of us need to reflect upon preparing our universities to brace the emerging COVID situation and moving towards education without examination and to come out of our comfort zones in upgrading teacher skills, curriculum, and student readiness for market challenges and social responsibility. The action points, major action points from these discussions are the following: to align national, institutional, individual, and international goals, to create the ambience for disciplines to merge, cutting across traditional boundaries both in classroom teaching, learning, and in research, to create a different type of mentoring system to take over the old school teaching practices geared towards lectures and examinations, to orient teachers and students towards state-of-art educational practices so that classrooms and learnings can be innovative and teaching can facilitate the acquisition of 21st century skills, to orient early learning towards research so that young children are oriented to teaching that can change, and they can establish, there is a need to establish a robust national research fund, exploring the possibilities of private research funds as well, to facilitate an equitable distribution of research funds between STEM subjects and humanities and social sciences, to create a separate forum for private universities under the umbrella of AIU to present and resolve their issues, to create the scope of innovation in academia to be market sanctioned yet socially relevant, to formulate a symbiotic teaching learning process between national and international educational perspectives by inviting teaching faculty from foreign universities. The achievement report of the AIU was read by Dr. Pankaj Mittal. The valedictory session happened under the benediction of Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar ji. I thank all the dignitaries who graced the occasion, the AIU officials, the panelists, and the participants for creating such a wonderfully engaging time for everyone and for affording this opportunity to Sri University to host the occasion. Thank you all, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure the last 2 days have been very insightful and valuable. We would like to hear a short feedback from our attendees. I request Professor Mahendra Reddy, Vice Chancellor, ICFA University, Hyderabad, to share his experience.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Professor Pankaj Mittal, Professor Rajat Kulkarni, Professor Ajay Kumar Singh, Professor Tej Pratap, Vice President, then Dr. Rama Devi, distinguished Vice Chancellors, ladies and gentlemen. I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity. All the 4 sessions were excellent. I attended all the sessions because I had 2 meetings which I scheduled were cancelled, and it helped me to attend all the sessions. The first on AICT and NAC gave very important, valuable information. The AICT speaker, Mr. Neeraj Saxena, spoke about Idea Labs, which is extremely important on the concepts and foundations for, and development of creativity, and ultimately go for startups. Ultimately, Atmanirbhar Bharat means startups. And that session has helped us when we go back to the university, when we can think as to how to go about having startups. That is the focus now. Similarly, Professor Jagannath Patnaik mentioned about paradigm shift in NAC. More towards technology. A paradigm shift has already taken place. He mentioned about it, and he also advised us to work on what kind of changes we have to bring in NAC to accommodate the new national education policy. And then he focused on greatest priority towards objectivity in NAC decisions. That's very important point which he has made. The other 3 sessions, teaching, research, and internationalization, all 3 are interrelated. Teaching and research are 2 sides of the same coin. Internationalization helps teaching, internationalization helps research. In that sense, I congratulate the organizers, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, for choosing such a theme. Now, the focus was socially relevant curriculum, student-centric learning, teaching, case approach, focus on faculty development, and technology, and focus on industry relevance were emphasized. And then learning, classroom learning is all right, but if you can focus it towards projects, experiential learning will be more effective. The research panel was also excellent. The importance of research, not only at the PhD level, but even at undergraduate level, was focused on. Another important point was what kind of a research we should be doing. 2 points raised was relevance and rigor. Now, we need to have relevance to Indian context, and so far as the rigor is concerned, it has to be Western developed countries' methodology, which is more rigorous. In other words, relevance to the Indian context and rigor in terms of the methodology and objectivity should be well developed. The large number of startups in yesterday's session by Bits Pilani, Vice Chancellor, about 700, something which caught the imagination of every participant in the seminar. Most important is one of the observations made was we should go for such organizations should work for persuade the government to move towards 6% of spending of GDP on education, because quality is a cost. Quality does not come free. So we have to work towards increased spending on education by the government. Finally, the last session today, internationalization, was excellent. This is very desirable. There should be student exchange. There should be faculty exchange. There should be research projects. There should be joint degrees. There will be a semester abroad. There should be a year abroad. Twinning programs, these to be encouraged. Then it was also pointed out that the national education policy recommends establishment of top 100 universities in the world in India. This is a most welcome step. But as Guruji said, you have to have your environment ready to receive them. And these top universities establishment not only benefits the Indian students to get higher quality education at a lower cost, but also it helps the Southeast Asia, West Asia, African country students to come to India rather than go to US, UK, Australia, because they are much more expensive. So they will be able to get education at a lesser cost. And India will have more foreign students in its land. But as Guruji said, we should have the environment to welcome them, to receive them. During the COVID, there may be some slowdown, but ultimately internationalization is going to play a more and more important role. Finally, to conclude, I'd just like to take one point. Since the audience are all Vice Chancellors, my request to Dr. Pankaj, Mittal and all the distinguished members here, that let us have, in our university, our policy is 50-50. My suggestion here in this conference, regional conference or zonal conference is 60-40, so that 60% of the total time, if it is 90 minutes, if it's 100 minutes, 60 minutes are spent for presentations, and interaction time should be more, because everybody coming here have points to make, have observations to make, have raise questions, or give their own experiences. So I request you to think about making the allotment of time in terms of 60-40, 60 time for the chair, 60% of the time for the chairman and distinguished panelists to make the presentations, and then remaining 40%, you respond to the questions and there should be an interaction. Finally, I must congratulate everyone for their excellent organization of this conference, and the time planning was superb. I congratulate the university for this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Professor Reddy. I request Professor B.S. Satyanarayanji, Vice Chancellor, C.V. Raman Global University, if you would like to share a few.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I would like to thank EAU for, first of all, giving us this wonderful opportunity to be present in this conference. I mean, I honestly did not plan to be present for all the 1.5 days, but every session was so engrossing that I think we were literally forced to be here. I mean, without even missing a minute. So it was a wonderful, and I wouldn't want to repeat anything that others have already mentioned because enough things have been said. So just I want to highlight on 1 or 2 points, which I think is, in my limited opinion, we are a new university, just 10 months old. And I'm happy to say that, I mean, most of the issues that are being raised in NEP and STIP, we are proactively trying to implement, whether it is bringing in skilling, whether it is bringing in multidisciplinary approach, bringing research into education. So, but then the key requirement I would request AIU to especially facilitate, because the presentation here was so very good here, listening to everybody, is that how do we develop, I mean, a better orientation on assessment for the skills or the needs of the 21st century, or focus on research? Again, the questions were mentioned. So maybe as far as research is concerned, I think we don't have to think anything beyond if we simply look at the sustainable development goals that look at all the necessities that every one of us to day-to-day necessities. So maybe that gives us enough direction to do research, whether I want to do it for local, global or national. So that's fine. But teaching and especially assessment, because it is going to be student centric, and it has to be now student has to be excited about the education, create the joy of learning. And so the assessment also should be enabling him and creating an enjoyment in the learning. As Gurudev already mentioned, it has to be motivational. Our education has to be motivational, and the assessment has to be, again, in motivating the student also, just like we as a university have to be there. So can we truly create assessment norms and educate our teachers? We are trying to do something with a multidisciplinary approach, as I said, and having about 25 skill facilities where so that from day one student can work with the skill and understand from fundamental and skill together, knowledge and skill together. But the key is, can all of us put together the provision for assessment right from developing, as already, Guruji mentioned about awareness, innovativeness, and ability to ask questions. So from inquiry to quantitative ability, can we develop a matrices for assessment so that every teacher is said, whether you do an assignment, whether you do a class test, whether you do a project-based work or skilling, can this, aspects of problem solving, critical thinking, analytical thinking, ability to ask questions, and then even bigger, simpler things like ability to communicate and write them, metrics for saying all this has to be there in every assignment or project, including the societal need. Therefore, we don't have to look at ethics and societal need as a separate aspect, but integrate it into a day-to-day assessment. And from there, go to, again, say, global issues, and say creative thinking, innovativeness, and all of them as other parameters, so that they're all linked and all with the ability to do integrated, assessment, integrated approach of learning. So if we can make a matrix and also train people to assess, I think we will be in a more position to truly assess students from, as Professor Sharma also mentioned yesterday, from to know to do, to actually to understand and also communicate and be in a position to be problem solvers, or people who can develop new solutions, or people who can actually be creative and innovative, whether it's a project, product, or a service. So I hope, with this wonderful suggestions, if we can truly come, because whatever the syllabus, if the assessment is wrong and it is still for rote learning, everything goes waste. So my only request is that, can we truly, put all our brains together to create a great set of assessment processes for any project, any assignment, any culture, societal engagement activity, to, industry engagement. And I think it will help go a long way in making sure our education becomes relevant. The student actually gets excited and truly gets into the mode of enjoying education rather than making it a drudgery. Thanks once again for a wonderful opportunity to listening to all the experts. And thanks also to Sri Ravi Shankar Ji University, because again, we could get some aspect of the ambience also because it is being held here. And I thank Dr. Rama Devi for also giving me an opportunity to share one or two of my points. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words. I now request Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sri Sri University, Professor Ajay Kumar Singh, to share his remarks.
Namaskar, good afternoon to all of you. My heartfelt thanks to Poojya Gurudev, Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji, for sparing his valuable time and delivering the valedictory address and answering all the questions which opened up new vistas in our minds in the AIU Central Zone Vice Chancellor's Conference on Promoting Quality, Research and Internationalization in Higher Education. On behalf of Sri Sri University, I appreciate and acknowledge the sincere efforts under the leadership of the President of AIU, Professor Tej Pratap Ji, the Vice President of AIU, Professor G. Thiruvasakam, the Secretary General of AIU, Dr. Pankaj Mittal Ji, for giving us the opportunity to host this, for initiating and successfully executing the idea of organizing the VC meet in different zones virtually. I thank the entire team of AIU, Dr. Rama Pani Ji, Vijender Kumar Ji, Dr. Alok Mishra Ji, and all the members of the AIU team, our own team at Sri Sri University, led by our Honorable President, Madam Srimati Rahita Kulkarni Ji, and all the team members, the media team, the IT team, the operations team, all the rapporteurs, people who participated in different sessions as MCs, Master of Ceremonies, and others. I would like to share my thoughts with this august galaxy of intellectuals and hope that with the help of Association of Indian Universities, it would reach to the policymakers, both at the level of central government as well as the state government. On research, I would like to start with, like we have corporate social responsibility as 2% in the Companies Act, wherein now every company is supposed to mandatorily allocate and report what happened with that money. Can we think of a system that 2% should have some allocation out of that, maybe 50, 25, 10%, whatever we want as the output of the research, depending on that, we should commit ourselves that the corporate should become partners in the research. Let them create opportunities where the problems of the industry is solved by the researchers who are in the academic world. This would create a new ecosystem in the field of research. And I also think global portal should be created for all the stockholders, not only the corporate world. Let the society, because it was discussed in the last sessions, that the research should have meaningful impact. It should solve the problems of the society. So let there be a global portal for all the stakeholders to post their problems, their research questions. And let the university people, let the students of the university, let the faculty members of the university listen to those, talk to them, read those, and come out with solutions which are meaningful to the society at large, to the industry and business, and so on and so forth. It would create a symbiotic impact. And another aspect of publication of research, which requires access to Web of Science, Corpus, etc., I would request Association of Indian Universities or any other body at the national level to provide access to these databases as being member of, say, AIU or something like that, so that each university doesn't have to buy the access to these databases, the softwares, the plagiarism testing softwares like Turnitin and so on. So like in a university, we have seen that different departments buy software, but when you negotiate at the university level, the cost to the university goes down. So similarly, at the national level, if we have something like this, that all our member institutions of AI are entitled to have access to these, then a lot of problems in research would get solved. And even those universities who can't afford to subscribe to these, those researchers will also get benefit of this. So if we want to really have inclusive growth model in research, then we need to have all this. Researchers should engage themselves in solving the problems, not only worried about patents, copyrights, and trademarks. There is a debate between should we have copyrighted things, should we have patented things and all that, or should we have open source softwares and so on and so forth. So if we want research to really go beyond just IPR protected research, we need to encourage these aspects also. In publication of research, we also talk about publication bias, which is based on citations or different kind of things. Meta-analysis is based on whatever quantification of studies. Studies have quantified in different parts of the world, which is being published nowadays in top-tier journals. But then it also has a bias, because the kind of knowledge that exists in our Bhagavad Gita and all the other scriptures, that is not available in the quantified form. So we need to have qualitative research also. And we need to create ecosystem for those things so that the research, which is more deeper in meaning, which connects to an individual to the own self, discovery of self, आत्मा से जो मिला उसकी तरफ भी रिसर्च कैसे होनी चाहिए, उस पे भी हमें थोड़ा सा ध्यान देना चाहिए. Second is the internationalization that I would like to talk about. Different aspects of internationalization have been discussed in the session today also, and they were very thought-provoking. I would like to bring on the table one more aspect of that. I would use Sri Sri University as a case study to be considered. Sri Sri University has been founded, as you know, by Poojya Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji, who is the founder of not only Sri University, but Art of Living, which is present in 156 countries. And it has more than 40,000 teachers around the world. Imagine, if Shishi University is allowed to have online education, to have some unique model. Right now, what we are doing is Institute of Eminence, which is like a standardized model. If you fall into this category, then you will be given. Otherwise, you would not be given this status. But what about this kind of a university, which is, founded by an organization or a person who has been doing service in the world from last about 40 years, and they have so many students, so many teachers around the world who can be in the formal system of the university, become part of the university. The university can actually beat Harvard and Stanford just if we are allowed to be, in this mode as institute of, I would say, global eminence. A new category can be created for institutions like this. And we should be allowed to have under our umbrella all these teachers which are there in the world. No other university probably would be having 40,000 teachers in one go with a single stroke of pen, with a change in the policy. This can be done. The culture, nurture, do we have this culture of nurturing the talent in all age groups? And this is a unique thing which Sri University can bring on the table, right from this school education to the highest level of education of PhD, and even after that as lifelong learning. The Art of Living programs, which are more than 50, connects to each age group. Can't there be a system where from the school itself, we have intuitive intelligence program, which opens the frontal lobe of the brain, and the children are educated in a manner that they are of a different breed altogether. So this could be a unique model, that this university is one which provides from the very beginning of the school education to the highest level, and then up to the lifelong level, there are students who are associated with this kind of a university. So internationalization should be thought on different lines also out of the box. Online education should be allowed to universities like us also. So that is another aspect of it which I wanted to talk about. Guru Dronacharya ने अर्जुन को भी पढ़ाया, दुर्योधन को भी पढ़ाया, लेकिन जिसके जैसे संस्कार थे वो वैसा बना. एक ही गुरुकुल में अलग अलग तरह के आउटपुट निकले. हम लर्निंग आउटकम की आजकल बात करते हैं. तो जब तक हम पूरी फैमिली को जब तक एजुकेट नहीं करेंगे, उनके संस्कारों का सुधार नहीं होगा, तब तक वो दुर्योधन की तरह ही उसी गुरुकुल में रह के निकल सकता है. इसलिए बहुत जरूरी है कि परिवार के सभी सदस्य उस एजुकेशन से गुजरें, उस नॉलेज से गुजरें जो वो बच्चा गुजर रहा है किसी यूनिवर्सिटी में. सो इट इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट ओनली टू एजुकेट अ चाइल्ड or an adult in the university. It is also important that everybody in the family is on the same platform. We need to uplift the entire humanity. And it is said that all toppers are not necessarily good teachers. Similarly, all A+ and A++ ranked institutions fit to be online universities. The requirements of online universities could be different. We need to think of internationalization in the context of online also. In terms of quality, if we want standardization, we need to have MOOCs and other online platforms so that the similar content is delivered, and this uniqueness needs to be embedded. So these were some of the thoughts that I wanted to share with this august audience, because Association of Indian Universities takes care of the policy advocacy as well as the main agenda. And this is the time we need to break the barriers, break the boundaries, think in a different manner. The kind of disruptive things that are happening during this time which we face, all the universities had to come in the online mode drastically. We did it in one day only. From the coming Monday, we said, weekend you prepare, we did training programs and all that. From Monday, we were operational from March 16, 2020. So we need to come up with different innovative models. If we want our universities to be in the top 100, we need to create new benchmarks, we need to create new frameworks. The methods of evaluation should be devised based on what we think is appropriate, not on the basis of what the Western world has created as benchmarks for ranking the universities. We have National Institution Ranking Framework, which only talks about Indian institutions. Why can't we have global institutional ranking framework, which is devised by the Indian thought that what is actually required, human beings are to be created in a manner that the character is on the top. The problem of 2008-9 crisis by the people, those who were graduated from Harvard and Stanford, talking about derivatives and all that, you all know subprime crisis which happened. So it is not important that from where you are getting the degree, if you don't have the character, the values and all that. Poojya Gurudev talked about all these aspects, so I would not like to repeat on that. So a new thought needs to be given on all these aspects, and I'm thankful once again to all of you for patiently listening to me, and thank AIU for giving us the opportunity to host this. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, sir, for very nicely articulating for all of us. And I'm sure the discussions and the inspiring words will be a part of the recommendation. I now request Professor Tej Pratapji, President AIU and Vice Chancellor GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, to deliver the presidential address.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony. My apologies for missing some of the President of Shri Shri University, Madam Rajita Kulkarni ji, Vice Chancellor of the University, Dr. K. Ajay Kumar Singh ji, my own colleagues, Vice President of Association of Indian Universities, Thiru Vasagam ji, and Dr. Pankaj Mittal, and a lot of other Vice Chancellor colleagues who are online today for this two-day event. We are on the wrap-up session. Let me start by putting on record my gratefulness on behalf of AIU and on my personal behalf to Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji, Gurudev ji, for sparing time to be with us. We spent almost an hour. And it's been a great opportunity for us to listen to him and have his thoughts on key issues. I would also take the opportunity to appreciate the efforts made by Shri Shri University, all colleagues led by Madam President and Vice Chancellor for hosting this event in a very professional way, listening to people and what I have been listening online. The standard of the discussion, time management and everything has been very professional, and you deserve all appreciation for that. Thank you very much indeed for that thing. There is not much to say on the topics, on the other things, if somebody would have listened to the report carefully. The report prepared by the colleagues in Shri Shri University is very concise, and it sums up everything. If anybody who has missed in the central zone, and for all other university vice chancellors and experts also, those who are interested in these thoughts, crisp sum up of everything that has been presented in these 2 days. Not much to add on that. It's beautifully giving those thoughts, analysis on quality, on research, promotion, and internationalization. The experts that were chosen for this meeting, they have gone at length to explain the depth of ideas. Sharing of knowledge was great indeed. And it is in these meetings, colleagues, all of you vice chancellors with me, that we as vice chancellor get not much time to listen every day, but occasions like these enrich our own thoughts for that prepares us for future things. Let me sum up things like this, that platforms like this has been a regional meeting. I call it as a platform. why it was designed, and as I said in the beginning, it's part of a larger whole on a national education policy, trying to create that thought process. I would put it in these words. All of us are confronted with a challenge of entering into a new paradigm of new education policy, preparing your institution and implementing the provisions, and how do we grow in that environment. Listening to many of our colleagues and the experts, you would sometimes realize, and in meetings like this, when you go back, there's one message on that. Entering new paradigm with old mindset would be a very dangerous thing. All of us have old mindsets of how to make institutions grow. You keep listening, colleagues, whether it is on particular subjects on quality or internationalization or research or even academics and others. Then what do we need? I think if we take this risk of entering with old mindset in a new paradigm, that will not help us. That will not help your institution. That will not help the nation. And overall, those who are stakeholders, the students, it will not even help them. Then this is the opportunity, this whole platform we are creating. Finally, we will meet in Ahmedabad. We will have this opportunity. Then what is this new mindset that we will have? I think it comes out of these deliberations. And this is only one aspect, these three issues. There are a host of other subject matters in national education policy, around 12 different subjects. All of you, including me, will get to listen that and when we meet in Ahmedabad. Colleagues, there are certain bitter truths about our institutional growth, bitter truth of managing day-to-day affairs in the universities. I'm very much aware, like one of you, I am among them, running the university. When we look back, sit on the chair, it's a very hot seat, confronted with a lot of issues. One of the colleagues, A.K. Singh, summed it up very well. Be it finances, be it lesser and lesser autonomy, be it pressures and other things. And on the other side, a new paradigm challenged to enter into that. And the poor vice chancellors in between, trying to balance the two. I can guess how much difficult it is to really devise a strategy to move into a new paradigm of great opportunities and vision with these kinds of circumstances. 1,000 universities of India, all of us should survive or less. And what should be our vision? Where do we go in internationalization or standards and settings and everything? These are matters. I'm not going to say to you anything, but collectively we take platforms like these to sit together and debate about. Let us at the end of the day bring out the harder truths or black truths or promising future, everything written in a document. And then if we care for that or contributing to build or design a path for the future, then of course we can. AIU is the platform for that. Individually, we can only think, we can only aspire or grumble. But collectively, we can design a strategy. That is exactly what we had put it as a blueprint, that this year, all vice chancellors in different platforms meet together to debate about the issues, concerns that contribute to designing a blueprint of implementation strategies. I'm sure at the end of the day, when the document is ready, we'll circulate it. All of us will cherish the shared information, knowledge, experiences, giving us, after analysis, fine print of the blueprint for actually building the institutions that we individually had, all of us, with very different circumstances. But everybody should have something in that. It would not be only for a university that is aspiring to be global, but then for that university also, who is very weak, who is at the bottom and wants to go up. We have challenges. I will sum it up like that. With 1,000 universities in India, what are we aspiring with national education policy? I would say, well, let's frame in our mind that we should not fall down to last 25 universities. and frame your mind who they could be that you would never like to be. And work for being in the middle, top 10, select them, make them your ideals. This is the practical way of thinking. And you can pick up top global universities where you say, well, we would aspire to with them. We will work towards something in the middle. And most important for us, many of us, our colleagues would be to even ensure that we do not fall down to the things that are there. With these few words, uh, thank you very much for sparing your time for 2 days, sharing your knowledge. And those who listened, they will contribute to building their own institutions. Thank you also. And those who contributed, the experts and others, in reaching our thoughts, I would like to thank them also. My colleagues in AIU, Vice President, and especially Pankaj Mittal and other colleagues who have been constantly in touch with you to ensure that your show is grand. Thank you very much indeed. I would like to stop it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are really thankful to you once again to give us the opportunity to host this meet and look forward to having more such opportunities of collaborative events in future. As our Honorable President, Ma'am Mrs. Rajita Kulkarni ji had mentioned about our commitment towards environment, we would like to just take a moment to show you a short glimpse of the plants to be planted in the names of all speakers in our Shisha University campus. To share with all, Shisha University is ranked first in Odisha, 7th in India, and 304th in the This meet was made possible by many hands, hearts, and minds working together. To express a word of appreciation and gratitude, we have with us Dr. S. Ramadevi Pani, Editor, University News, AIU, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Gayatri. Chief guest of this valedictory function, Poojya Gurudev ji, Sri Ravi Shankar ji, respected President, Association of Indian Universities, Professor Tej Pratap, Honorable Vice President of AIU, Colonel Professor G. Tiruvasagam, Honorable President of Sri University, Mrs. Rajita Kulkarni, most acclaimed Secretary General of AIU, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, esteemed Vice Chancellor of Sri University, Professor Ajay Kumar Singh ji, honored Vice Chancellors of different universities of Central Zone, distinguished guests, delegates, invitees, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have come to the end of this Central Zone Vice Chancellors meet on the topic Implementation Strategies of NEP 2020, Promoting Quality Research and Internationalization in Indian Higher Education. The meet was a great success as we understood from the feedback and the report. And it is indeed a privilege for me to propose vote of thanks on behalf of Association of Indian Universities, on behalf of Sri University, and on behalf of my own self. Whereas it is underlined that we are thankful to one and all who made this meet a success, I will play the ritualistic part and rush through the Thanksgiving because I am standing between the lunch and this completion of this session. As we all know, the success of any conference depends upon the dignitaries who grace the session. And we are very fortunate to have, for this valedictory session, none other than Poojya Gurudev ji to grace us, to enlighten us by his benign and divine presence. I bow in front of Gurudev ji on behalf of all the gathering and on behalf of AIU and Sri University. We had the privilege of having Srimati Anandi Bein Patel, Governor of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, to inaugurate this meet. Through her long inaugural address, she had brought many issues of concern to the fore, And in fact, she laid the roadmap for implementing the NEP 2020. On behalf of AIU, I convey, and Sri Sri University, I convey my thanks to her. As guest of honor in the inaugural session, we had Dr. Arun Kumar Sahuji, Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Government of Odisha. In his very crisp address, he spoke about the crucial points of NEP 2020 and the points which we need to emphasize while implementing the policy. We are thankful to him. We are thankful to Professor Tej Pratap, President AIU, the Mountain Man of India, not only for presiding over this meet and guiding us incessantly, but also providing the footprints to implement this strategy, implementation strategy of NEP 2020. I'm thankful to Vice President AIU for steering the session on interface with apex bodies so vibrantly. And there were very many vital recommendations in this session. After listening to the speech of Madam Rajita Kulkarni, I realized that if I had not heard to listen to her, I would have missed something very, very precious in my life. Madam, your speeches are very mesmerizing and also informative. On behalf of AIU and on behalf of the whole gathering, I thank you not only for your speeches, but for hosting this meet, providing us the opportunity to host this meet in your university. We'll definitely come to your university to have coffee and pizza. I'm thankful to Madam Pankaj Mittal, as usual, for her dynamic leadership, not only for this meet, but for realizing the objectives of AIU in the interest of higher education of the country. I'm thankful to you, Madam. I'm equally thankful to Professor Ajay Kumar Singh Ji, Vice Chancellor, Sri Sri University, Cuttack, for enabling us to reach out to the Central Zone Vice Chancellors through your university through this meet. We are thankful for the marvelous arrangements for this virtual meet and hospitality virtually. We enjoyed the meet, sir. The significance of the meet is to have scholars and professionals who have a knack of chairing the sessions and speaking and addressing the gathering. Fortunately, we had very eminent vice chancellors for chairing these sessions. I'm thankful to Professor P.B. Sharma, Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Gurgaon, Professor Bhushan Patwardhan, Vice President, University Grants Commission, Professor Kavita Sharma, former President, Sark University, Padma Shri Professor Dinesh Singh Ji, Vice Chancellor, K.R. Mangalam University, and former Vice Chancellor, University of Delhi. I'm immensely thankful to you all, sirs and madams, on behalf of Association of Indian Universities and Sri Sri University. We had eminent experts of the field as speakers. We had Professor S.C. Sharma, Director NAC. We had Professor Nazma Akhtar, Vice Chancellor, Jamia Millia Islamia. We had Professor Azaz Masih, Jamia Millia Islamia. Professor Upinder Dar, Vice Chancellor, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. Professor Shauvik Bhattacharya, Vice Chancellor, BITS Pilani. Professor Kavita Sharma, former President, South Asian University. Professor C. Rajkumar, Vice Chancellor, O.P. Jindal Global University. Professor Vidya Ravdekar, President, Symbiosis International University. Professor Francisco Mamaleo, from formerly was at World Bank. Professor N.V. Burgess, Vice Chancellor, NUPA. Professor Anthony Miranda, Country Counselor for Cultural and Educational Efforts. I'm thankful to one and all you, sirs and madams. I'm thankful to Professor Mahendra Reddy, Vice Chancellor, ICFI University, and Professor Satyanarayana C.V. Raman, Global University, for your feedback, sir. I'm thankful to Dr. Neeraj Saxena and Dr. Jagannath Patil from NAC and AICT, respectively, for being in the interactive session and resolving all the queries of the Vice Chancellors. The presence in the South Zone Vice Chancellors meet was overwhelming. I'm thankful to all the Vice Chancellors who are present in the gathering and who have graced the occasion for last 1.5 days. I'm thankful to you all. I'll be failing in my duty if I do not thank the individuals who have worked to make this meet a success. In this series, I thank Mr. Vijendra from Meetings Division of AIU, who had worked meticulously for last several days to make this meet a success. I'm also thankful to the nodal officer of this meet from AIU Secretariat, Mr. Satyapal Singh ji. And most importantly, I'm thankful to Dr. Alok Mishra, Joint Secretary, Association of Indian Universities. I owe special thanks to small little girl, Miss Mani Goswami, Nodal Officer from Sri Sri University, for meticulously coordinating this meet. It's a real great effort, Miss Mani. The contribution of Professor Kalyani Samantrai is highly acknowledged for this meet. I also thank all the masters of ceremony, Dr. Gayatri Dume, Dr. Pankaj Vij, Dr. Sharda Acharya, for anchoring the session so professionally. These virtual meets are not possible without utilizing the expertise of technical team. I thank all members of the technical team, particularly Dr. Vijay Kumar from Sri Sri University and his team members, Dr. Rajiv and Dr. Arunji, and Mr. Shivan Dikshit from Association of Indian Universities. My sincere thanks are due to the rapporteurs. The rapporteurs team is led by Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Mahanti, and her team members are Richa Bagel, Bhagirathi Nayak, and Rakesh Tripathi. I'm thankful to you all for recording the deliberation so meticulously and painstakingly. And I'm thankful to Dr. Kalyani Samantrai for reading the report so crisply. These reports and recommendations will be documented for further necessary action. I am once again grateful and thankful to one and all who made this meet a success. Thank you to Sri Sri University. Thank you to one and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for so nicely acknowledging the contribution of all the members and for delivering the vote of thanks, and also for your continued support to make this event a success. The end of a story is the beginning for many others. We from Sri Sri University are grateful to host such a remarkable, memorable, and knowledgeable meet. Even though it was a virtual meet, your enthusiastic remarks and participation made it feel equally connecting. Let us conclude this afternoon by rising from our seats for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Once again, we thank each and every one of you to be a part of this virtual meet, and we look forward to host you in the future events as well. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thanks to one and all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mittal, Dr. Tej Pratap, Dr. Ramapani. So nice to hear you also. Thank you so much, everybody. Dr. Tiruvasagam, thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Rajita ji, for hosting it so well.
Thank you very much.
The whole team did it.
Yes.
Namaste.